Hello and welcome back to It's Queer Magic. You are now on part 2 of the Aquarius season Tarotscopes. If you're new here, I'm Kirbo. Hi, hello, they, them, nice to meet you. And we talk about queer magic, witchcraft, liberation, love. We're just trying to be better. We're trying to feel deeper, love stronger, be good people, and feel alive all the time, right? We're just trying. And that's what we talk about. So if you dig that, if that's your bag, stick around. Today, we are going through the second half of the zodiac so that you can get your messages for Aquarius season, your invitations for Aquarius season. Please start with your rising sign. These are directed at your rising sign. But if you have any other signs that are in a stellium with a lot of concentrated energy, please do listen to those. If you feel so called, please do listen to your sun and your moon, as they will be affecting you and apply to you as well. But the rising sign is the main horoscope, taroscope for you. Okay? So the links are down below if you want to skip whatever's here, get to your signs, and tell me what you think below. All right, let's get into it. Okay, Leos. I said that aggressively. Oh, but you know what? It's Leo, so we're going to keep it. Okay, Leos. The card for you for Aquarius season is the Five of Cups reversed. And this deck associates Mars and Scorpio, and the keyword being loss. And the Five of Cups for you, it feels like it's time not just to move on, but to I feel like you a little bit don't stand a chance to actually move on because you're still holding everything that you want to move on from. It's like either a hyperfixation or or single-mindedness or a grudge, or you're still going over the things that happened to you or the things that they did or the things that went wrong or the people that you lost and keep losing or whatever. It just feels like the moving on has been trying to happen, but it can't because there is no space. When we are putting our effort and our energy into this deep clinging to the ways that we have been wronged, we, not always, but sometimes we can sort of commit to that experience and commit to that perspective and let that be what we are experiencing and decline and resist any change. And in that, letting go of those things feels a little bit like a loss too. It feels like a different kind of loss. It feels like you, it's like you're trying to let go of these things so that you don't feel that loss anymore, but in trying to let go, it's like, now I'm losing my identity. And it's like, you're not. And you know what? If there's any piece of it that you're losing, it isn't the truth and it isn't who you really are. It's a construct that you've built to survive, especially in this perspective that you've built for yourself. It just feels like the grudge isn't worth it. The grudge is hurting you way more than it's punishing anybody else. And you don't have to be afraid of losing your boundaries or accepting bad behavior or going backwards or whatever, just because you're moving on. Because you deserve to move on with everything. You deserve with your heart and soul to move on because you can live well. People get wronged and people get hurt. Less than you and more than you, right? This is just a fact of life. And I'm not asking you, and this season is not asking you to let it go, right? Just to let it go, move on, forget, pretend it didn't happen, forget that it hurt. It's just allowing you or asking you to make a little space so that you can find a path to feeling better, right? It's like, do you win Are you winning this grudge? You're holding a grudge, you're thinking about it, you're hurting about it, you're ruminating on it, thinking over and over, right? You are, even if you're feeling like I hate that person or that situation or that whatever it is, it's like you're still thinking about it. And are they thinking about you? Are they still connected to you? And also, like, if the answer is yes, is that part of the problem? That this is a two-way cord that can't be cut because nobody wants it to. No matter how much they hate experiencing it, no matter how much they dislike the experience, right? It's all of that dislike, all of that hate is building this cord a little thicker. And that's not like a hard and fast universal rule. And I want to be clear about that because I think sometimes with these like spiritual generalizations, especially when it's like for so many people who just have Leo, right? That it can be harmful because we can start to think that that's a rule. You're creating your own suffering. And that's not the case. That's not the case. That's not how it works. But in this circumstance, in this reading today, you are being asked to see where you're standing in the way of moving on and whether or not you can finally pick your head up and look at the cups that you still have, right? We're the Five of Cups. Traditionally, there's like 4 cups filled and 1 cup standing. And your back is to that cup, right? And it's natural and okay to have been wholly focused on the loss and the grief and the spill, right? The violence of it, the pain of it, the tears, the grief. That's normal. That's natural. That's okay. That's good. But ask yourself, like, are some of you already have tried to move on? Like a bit of your spirit is tugging you in a direction that the rest is just unwilling because of maybe pride or over identifying with the person who has been wronged, who's been through stuff, who's experienced this thing. Letting yourself be new and move into a future where you are living well and happy doesn't mean that that stuff never happened, right? It doesn't mean that you are now stripped of your identity. It just means that it's informing who you are and not controlling who you are, and especially how you feel. I think that your challenge this season is to lean into those like maybe more angry feelings, maybe the more grudgeful feelings or vengeful feelings, and like see what's underneath them. Are they genuinely anger, or have you painted with the anger brush because it's the one you're comfortable with and you might be, I don't know, a little afraid of actually feeling the sadness or a little afraid of actually feeling the grief of something being over. And it's much easier just to be mad because it is. I'm not even a Leo, and I can tell you right now, it is a lot of times much easier just to be angry about it. And sometimes that's really beautiful and really useful and necessary. And sometimes, because anger is not a sustainable fuel, it begins to eat away at us. And this season, ask yourself, investigate what's underneath that anger, what's underneath that grudge, what's underneath that unwillingness to move on, to let it go, to let that person fade into your past and fade out of your life, to let that situation fade into the past and fade out of your life, to look up from the ground where the mess has happened into the future where you're being invited to step. What's standing in the way? What would it feel like? What are you afraid of? And how can you face that fear? Because Leo, it is time to move on. It is time to lift your head up so that you can see the future ahead of you. You've been walking forward with your head straight, locked to the ground. And you know what they say in dance class? If you're looking at the ground, that's where you're going to end up. And you don't want to crash. You don't want to end up, especially if you are somebody who's experiencing like somebody having wronged you, right? And being angry at them because you didn't get the justice you feel like you deserve. Yes, you deserved that justice and you still do. But it's not justice if you are suffering and you're not moving on and you're not moving forward, right? If you're waiting for a type of justice that does not seem like it's going to be, then they don't get to win even more because you are stuck in this place, right? That's not sticking it to them. That's sticking it to yourself. That's drinking poison and thinking, ha ha ha, they're going to get so sick. No, they're not. No, they're not. Just you. And that's not fair and it's not right. And you have the power to lift your head up and walk towards somewhere that you actually want to be. And I think that this season is going to rustle up some of that stuff and give you space to be like, look at this anger. Is it even anger? Look at this thing still on your plate. Like, aren't you done with this? Don't you want to move on? Because the invitation right now is to move on, but it starts inside of you. It doesn't start outside of you. And if you're waiting for something on the outside to reflect back to you that it's time, this is it. And there's not going to be anything else. So look inward, investigate that anger, investigate that pain, investigate that grief, and see where you are being invited to move into the future, because it's time to let it go. It's time to breathe a little deeper, and it's time to move on and heal and live better as opposed to just living in spite of. And you can do that. And again, Leo, you really deserve it. It's time. All right, Virgos, the card for Aquarius season for you is the Two of Cups reversed. The keyword being connection, and it is associated in this deck with Venus in Cancer. The Two of Cups reversed for Virgos in Aquarius season feels like a call to reconnect with yourself in a way that, like, I just feel like maybe you're like, I literally have been doing that, or I have been trying to do that. I am following all the steps. And that might be where you're getting a little tripped up, feeling like you're following all the steps and it's not working, because it's not about this time around. It's not about checking things off of a list and making sure you're doing all of the things. It's about checking in with yourself, with your emotional body, with your physical body, with your mind, with your spirit, and seeing if the things that you're doing to connect with yourself are working. Is this having a positive effect? Is this having any impact on me? Or am I just following the steps? Am I going through the motion? I'm following the recipe. And it's not working, right? It's not working. If it's not working, you're invited to change it. And I know you can. You're a Virgo. You can change it. You can do anything that you set your mind to. And oftentimes, you are correct about the best system, the best tool, the best path. But right now, I think that all of your ideas about the best, the right way to do it, are absolutely standing in your way, because this is not a logic experience. It's a felt emotional experience. And part of me feels like there is a little bit of room for exploration, like playing around with things to see what works. But a part of me actually really thinks that you do know, you still already have the information about what to do. And I don't know if you're actively avoiding it, you might be, but there is something that is due, something that was a part of your life. There's a part, I'm going to say this, it's queer magic, where this is a safe place and we can talk about these topics. If you are someone who experiences sexual desire, like, are you paying attention to that? Like, are you giving yourself the amount of touch and love and spice that you desire, that you need, that you're craving? I feel like this is not about your sexual relations with other people. It's about your self-intimacy in a sexual way, in a physical way, in an emotional way, in a passionate way, in an energetic way. Because we can journal until the cows come home, but if your need right now is a physical sexual need, the journaling isn't going to do it, right? It's like, I've been doing this ritual over and over. It's not working. And it's like, yeah, well, you're wound up tight in a knot because you have been ignoring this other need. And, for some of you, that's not going to be what it is. But this is a primal connection. This is an emotional connection. This is something that the lack of it makes you feel like you're not secure. The lack of it makes you feel like maybe you don't know yourself and that you don't know what's good about yourself. You don't know the best way to go about, like, even feeling like you're on the same page as yourself with your brain, your body, and your spirit. There's so much of this that just feels like you have to stop going at the rate, the speed that you're going, because you're missing the things that are gonna work. Like the stuff that's gonna work is whispering, and all of the other things are very loud, and you're like, okay, that's what I need. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna go to it. I'm gonna do it, and not noticing that it's not working. So this Aquarius season, remind yourself that sometimes love is a felt sense. Sometimes love is a physical sense. And it might not be sexual. I think some of us, it's exercise. Some of us, it's massage. It's hydration in the skin. It's like Virgo is the temple maiden. Virgo is taking care, right? It's the steward of ritual and process. And a temple maiden would be remiss to not clean the windows or sweep the floor, right? We think it's all about the ritual work and lighting the candles, but it isn't. It has to be clean. The gears have to be greased, right? We don't want a squeaky door. We want the foundation repaved. We want to clean off this window so that it actually shines the light that is trying to shine, that is honest, right? And this is not about a failure in anywhere outside of your life. This is just an actual desire and a need to reconnect with yourself, to reconnect with who you are, to reconnect and nourish the relationship that you have with yourself. And also the relationship that you have with your spirits. If you are somebody who is an active spirit worker, or, a tarot reader or witch yourself who's like, I just feel a little distant. I feel that this connection is a little stale. Maybe you're not in a place where you're giving in to like, I've been abandoned, but it might be creeping up. That like anxious attachment style might be creeping up. But the way to reconnect is not by ignoring yourself and just trying to go straight to the spirits, straight to the spirits, straight to the spirits. It is, however, about connecting to the spirits through your connection with yourself. And that might be annoying depending on who you are and how you feel about it. But ultimately, it is the key here to deal with the actual physical temple before you deal with what is living inside of it, right? To address your needs, to make sure you're taking care of yourself, and to let that be what is important right now. And I know there's all these other things, all these little things that you're required to pay attention to with your life, your job, your family, your needs. Like, I get it. We all have responsibilities. And there are some things that you're just not going to be able to put down. But this isn't about like putting things down. It's about prioritizing your relationship with yourself. I think alone time is in order. If it's applicable to you, I think self-touch and self-intimacy is in order. I think maybe if it aligns with who you are, some stretching, some movement, some moisturizing, some like lotion, right? Doing a double cleanse. I don't know. But an everything shower, a deep exfoliation, a deep exfoliation. All of those things I think are going to be well deserved and needed throughout this season. You're not doing anything wrong. You're doing everything right. You just do not get to abandon your relationship with yourself. And if you're feeling, again, distant with the spirits, with your own spirit, with the invisible world as a whole, with your guides, with your guardians, with your ancestors, if there's a distance, start with yourself. Start with getting close to your own spirit. Listen to your own inner voice, right? Feel your own energy field. Maybe do some small energetics, some energy exercises. Maybe you're going all the way back to basics and practicing that shield, right? Maybe that bubble. That might be what you need. But to sit with yourself and reconnect with your spiritual power. And I think that will have a positive effect, a ripple effect in every relationship in your life, with the spirits, with your partner, with your lover, with your mother, with your teacher, with your friend, whatever, what have you. I think that it will have a vast improvement. So pay attention, get close. Remember that you are your first friend, you are your first lover, you are your first, maybe not first, but you are your important relationship here. And all of your other responsibilities and relationships and skills, honestly, rely on the relationship with your own spirit being healthy. So pay attention. I think that there are other things also coming this month that are going to help you reconnect, like little new ideas, like innovative ways to experience those feelings. I think that like you can pay attention to those and do that. I think that's where the element of experimentation comes in, where you're being invited to sort of try these new things that might be old too. They might be brand new or might be coming back around. Either way, give it a shot. Don't immediately turn it down. Just be like, let me try. We'll see. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is not an invitation to go into old habits that you know are done. This is not about like falling off the wagon. This is not about like, well, I've grown a lot. Let me just like try this thing that ran me to the ground. No, I'm not giving you permission. This is not that invitation. If you want that invitation, find that somewhere else. But you can do it, and it's going to be really good. Reconnect with yourself, and you'll find yourself feeling a lot better. All right, Libras, my balancing act. You're next. The card for you for Aquarius season is the Sun. Ooh, I love that actually. The Sun, you're going to be shocked by this, is ruled by, in this card, associated with the Sun. I know, it's alarming, but we're trying to get through it. And it's fire, Leo. And I actually think that the Sun for Aquarius season, it feels like dawn. It feels like the rising sun. It feels like the early morning. It feels like a fresh start. It feels like a finally, like a deep breath. Like it feels like most of the time I don't interpret the sun this way. Most of the time I don't interpret it as like a success or like a win, and it's just like confidence and stuff. But that's the feeling this time. This feels like you're doing it. You're winning. You are overcoming things that you thought you wouldn't overcome, that you were just going to have to bite down and grit your teeth through and just deal with. You're being given opportunities in the physical world to see your growth and to see things working out for you. And I think that this season, you're finally starting to believe that you deserve it and believe that it's possible, and that the old stories about who you were and what was possible are just that, old fucking stories that are not the truth, that don't have to continue into the future. It's just something that you learned that you get to unlearn and then learn the truth and move on. The sun this time around really feels like a big, tall stalk of a sunflower with its face pointed towards the future. Like this is fresh air. This is a true and vulnerable, naked win. It just really feels like it works out for you, which I love. I'm very excited for that for you. It just also feels like maybe the challenge is going to be like not being like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and to lean into that confidence and to let that confidence actually inform the way that you speak and the things that you try out for, and the way that you respond to things not working out, right? I think that you're invited this season to let this winning energy, to let this like the sun is finally breaking through the clouds vibe be infectious and spread everywhere that you touch, everyone that you're around, every experience, opportunity, every room that you walk into is now blessed with the light of the sun because you walked into it. That is a power that we often underestimate, right? We often neglect to celebrate, but it's a real power, and it is the power of the sun to warm and to give life, right? So this winning energy, like you don't have to feel bad if you're around people that don't feel it or are still struggling or whatever, because you are bringing that light to them. So it's really valuable to try to find a way to dig into that feeling and to let it not just be something that's small and just contained in your chest. Let it radiate throughout your whole being, beyond your physical body into your energetic body, and let it radiate. I wouldn't be worried about people about energy vampires, or like people sucking on and taking too much from you. I think that there are going to be a few energetic lines to people and circumstances that your success is going to be sustaining. And it's not forever. It's just for now. And it is okay as long as it's within your boundary. You don't have to knee-jerk react to everyone's trying to suck my energy away and they're going to take it away and I don't have enough to go around. Don't be tempted to believe that, because you are regenerative. This is not a one-time thing. Sure, you're not going to be on top of the world every day for the rest of your life. It still will be a cycle and a journey. But this is not the only time you'll win, and giving it away only makes you stronger. It only makes you more powerful, and it only makes you shine brighter. Think of it like literally the sun and us trying to like put a cap on it, right? We're not saving the sunlight because we're only letting it through a little hole. We're just building pressure. And when you open that and let the sun come through, it just gets stronger and more light comes, right? And maybe that's not the best example, because eventually the sun will run out. But you know what? Eventually we all run out. So it will be what it's going to be. But this season, you don't have to think about that. You don't have to worry about that. Just worry about feeling it, right? Worry about, pay attention to letting it, again, permeate all the areas of your life. If you're getting success in one area, but it doesn't feel like you're getting success in another, don't let it like tempt you to like not celebrate this. Just turn that perspective of, heck yeah, that's working. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I love this. I'm happy. I'm thriving. And just pour that love all over the whole rest of your life, because that's the key to moving some of these stuck wheels. That pent up joy and celebration that you feel like maybe you haven't been able to let out all the way, is finally time to see it, to experience it, to let it wash over you and let it wash over your community, the people around you, your home, wherever it is that you're spending time and energy, physically, online, anywhere, right? Let that permeate everywhere. Let it spread around, because that is how you remain in that power. That's how you remain in a sustained feeling, perspective of being able to like be fueled by that successful energy. Again, you're not going to be like winning checks every day of your life for the rest of your life, or like never having a bad day. That's of course not what we're talking about. Life is life. But this is the beginning of a better period of time for you that you're overdue for. And that is so good. So don't be tempted to grasp it and be greedy and keep it to yourself, or be afraid of losing it. You're not going to lose it. Share it, feel it, spread it around. And before you know it, you'll be surrounded by other mini suns in this world that shine back to you just as much. Make sure your boundaries are there. I'm not saying like let anybody and everybody like suck you dry, right? That's not what's going on. I mean, to each their own, but that's not the situation. You don't want to let people, experiences that you know are harmful to you, that you know are not just like, it's not reciprocal, right? Like it's not healthy. It doesn't feel healthy. Of course, we investigate, we put our boundaries down, we enforce those boundaries, and we make sure that we are secure. But at the same time, just do not have to feel like you need to make sure that you're keeping it away from everyone and that you're keeping it to yourself or you'll lose it. That's not the case. Let the sun shine down on you right now. Love it, feel it, spread it around, let it fill you up, and watch how you are experiencing all of the fruit of your labor and of the changes and the healing you've been doing, because it's all now coming up, Libra. Okay? Amazing. So happy for you. Live it. You deserve it. All right, Scorpios, your turn. For Aquarius season, your card is the 9 of Pentacles reversed. And this deck associates that with self-sufficiency and Venus in Virgo. And I feel you panicking. I feel like if you know what this card means normally, this reversal might make you afraid of losing your security, of losing your bag, losing your job, losing your setup right now. Like that's not what we're talking about. At least not directly this season. I really feel like the 9 of Pentacles reversed for you, Scorpio, especially with this Venus and Virgo energy of the card, is like, how do we take care of this? How do we make sure that this is something that is a system that is sustained, right? Your life is not the way that it is because of one miracle or one, I don't know, whatever it is that you think is the hinge of it, I feel like isn't actually. It's a lot of different systems, and you're invited to think of this like a garden, like a food forest, like an ecosystem of all of these things that work together to support it. And, not everything is the dirt, not everything is the tree, not everything is the water, right? We need all of those pieces to make sure that life can thrive here. And with your season, this is again reversed, and it just feels like, are you okay? Are you ignoring things that you need? Are you ignoring ways that you are being called to make changes or to shift? Are you waiting for somebody else to tell you that you're allowed to do what you need to do, or you're allowed to live the way you want to live, or you're allowed to change your mind, or you're allowed to have multiple things be true, or you're allowed to go and do what you want? I don't know exactly what it is, but this just feels like care is love, love is care. And if you're so worried about whether or not you are loving yourself, then that can be translated in what you physically do to care for yourself. Sure, in a physical way and with your body, but with your whole life. And I think that part of this is investigating the piece of the, I want to say paradise, the piece of the bag, the piece of your experience, your gift, your community, your family, your home, your job, your everything. Investigate how those things actually, one, make you feel, right? And what they are making possible for you. Because it feels like you are being invited to build a system internally first and then externally that will allow you to have it the way you want it. Right? And, maybe it's a tough conversation, or maybe it's several tough conversations, or maybe it is also finally allowing yourself to sort of relax. I feel like in your actual life, it doesn't feel like it's time to relax. And I get that. But this feels like that this external paradise, this external thing that's holding you, this external environment that is holding you right now, one, needs to be reflected internally, right? It needs to be something that you set up inside so that you also are pouring into you. But I also think it's I said this, but I'm going to say it again. It feels like it is actively trying to tell you that you are safe, that you can relax, that you are free to follow this and let it support you. You don't have to resist it. You don't have to run from it. You don't have to commit to hating it. You don't have to, whatever is in the way, whatever is the big feeling that's blocking all of the other stuff. It's either release, accept, and work within what's happening, or change it. Those are your options. And if one or the other of those options sounds like an impossibility, then do the other one. If you're looking at changing it and it's I hate the outcome of that, or I don't like the process, or I just feel like that's not actually possible with my responsibilities and how the world is, okay, sure. Then what can you do to accept the things that you are not willing to give up so that you can accept them, and then move within those circumstances to still take care of your life, take care and build something that you like, that you enjoy, that feels like you're going somewhere. It doesn't have to feel productive. It's just about turning that worry into active love, right? I feel like your bliss is secure, your security is secure, and it's you've built this self-sufficiency. It doesn't feel like self-sufficiency, I feel like it doesn't feel like self-sufficiency. But you've built this, and it is self-sufficiency, but you're sort of resisting it. And relaxing into it, leaning into it is going to help you one, feel it more, feel actually secure in it and feel like, I did this. And this is actually something I'm doing, right? This is something I'm capable of. But also help you realize that then, if that's what you're capable of, what else are you capable of? And you'll likely actually start to enjoy your life a little bit more. You'll actually be doing things that you like and becoming someone you can really love and get behind, and loving on the parts that maybe you don't really want to get behind, but you know that shame is not worth it. So you're just going to love your way into it. I don't think that this Nine of Pentacles reversed is saying that paradise is over, or that your moment to yourself to enjoy what you've built is over. It just says how are we going to make this sustainable? Internally, externally, what needs to change for you? And I think that during this season, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to investigate what that means and actually make some changes for yourself. Remember that love is care. Care is love. Effort is love. It is love in action. And you can be really, really loving. Okay? Let yourself. You deserve it. It's going to be very good. All right, Sagittarius, your turn. The card of the season for you, for Aquarius, is the King of Wands. Love, which in this card is named the Throne of Fire. And this just has the feeling of if you decide to be different, if you decide to live different than the people that you come from, or your family, or the people you're around, your friends or family, whatever, if you decide to be different, you're going to have to back that up, right? It's not about asking the world if you're allowed to live differently. It's about saying, this is what's important to me. This is how I live. And if you want their respect, it's and I need you to respect that. I need that. Or if it doesn't matter, you're and that's just the way that it is, right? I feel like the King of Wands for you this season is all about accepting that trailblazer energy, because being a trailblazer does not mean just only walking down a path that no one has been before. It's also about setting it up for the people behind you and saying, this is the way that you do this. This is about being a good ancestor and preparing your life to be a good ancestor. It's how do I want to be remembered when it comes to the choices that I've made about following my truth, about following my passion, about being who I am, and about standing up for myself, about doing right by myself, about making sure that the rest of everyone is very clear that this is who I am and how I want to live, and I'm willing to fight for it. And I don't feel like there's a lot of fighting going on this season particularly, but it is about stepping into the active power portion of this fire ruler, about the King of Wands. I think this is about recognizing that you have power, and that sometimes that means you have to get up and do something, right? It's when you're given a great privilege or great power or a great wisdom, there comes a set of circumstances that always go along with it. I mean, maybe not always, but I mean to say specifically that yes, actions have consequences, but also blessings and choices require a payment. And that payment is oftentimes standing in the face of something that is fearful and that causes you fear, and standing 10 toes down and being courageous and saying, that's it. This is how I'm doing it. Because also we're talking about being in the strength year. We're talking about being in Aquarius season while Pluto has just moved into Aquarius. And you've got the King of Wands. You have to stand up for who you are and what you want. You have to fight for it. You have to put things on the line and be I've got skin in the game and I'm willing to bet, right? And maybe it's not a gamble, but it's a risk that you're taking on yourself, knowing that you are someone who can follow through. Because you are. And I don't know that you know that all the way yet, but this is when you definitely learn that. It's this relationship to power. It's you have so much of it, but you're so afraid to wield it. You have so much of it, but you're so afraid to hold it. And you don't have to be. This is the time. With that power, you need to get close to it. It is much more easily misused and abused if you are running away from it, trying to pretend that you don't have it. Sorry. Sorry, Aragorn. You gotta be the king. Or, like, that's it. That's your job. You know what I'm saying? He ran away from that from how long? And it caught up to him. Okay? It caught up to him. And for my non-Lord of the Rings people, like, I'm sorry, this is just how it goes, right? If you want to, I'm like trying to think of any other thing where there are circumstances. This is going to be silly, but I'm watching Drag Race later. So if you want to be the next drag superstar, you're required to go on the world tour, right? You're required to say, I am the next drag superstar. And the King of Wands wants you to just recognize that the power that you wield is yours to wield, not by accident. Not because it just so happened that way, or because your parents made a choice, or because it's just who you come from, so you've got power. No, babe, you have power because you are meant to have it. So what are you going to do with it? How are you going to sort of grow a backbone? Maybe that feels a little ableist. I need to find another way to say that. But that's what I mean. Like, how are you going to stand in your power? How are you going to stand up for yourself? In what ways are you going to push against assumptions, decisions that are not rooted in the truth of who you are and what you're capable of and what your situation is? And also, like, how are you going to stand up for yourself to yourself? And say, I'm not going to shy away. I'm not going to shrink down. I'm doing myself a disservice. You are being invited in the biggest, deepest way to recognize what you're capable of and to not be afraid to say what you think and to say what you feel and to ask for what you need. And a little bit for some of you, like, to demand it. To say, this is what I need from you. I've been saying, been playing around here, playing around there, and I need you to know that this is what I need. And see where it takes you. They might not say, okay. They might be like, this is impossible for me to give to you. But it's important for you to say it. It's important for you to stand 10 toes down. It's important for you to hold the line and say, accept this about me or don't be in my life, or however it's going to work, right? And it's going to take you to look in yourself and look at what's really happening and, like, actually decide what the truth is and what's worth fighting for. Because there's something about your life you love and there's something about your life that you don't. And maybe you're willing to compromise some of those things, but there's some things you're not willing to compromise, and you don't need to be feeling shamed or shame about that. You just say, this is who I am, and it's different from you. Maybe it's different from you. And maybe you don't understand it. But you have to understand that this is what is important to me. And I feel like it's in more ways than one. It's definitely whatever you're thinking of right now, it's about that, but it's also about other things. This is an energy that your entire 360, your entire life needs this energy for you to realize what you're capable of, what power you're sitting on, what power you're holding it, and what power you're holding and how you are either using it or not using it or misusing it. You're doing things differently. You're a trailblazer, and that means marking the trail. You don't just get to blaze through it and rush through it. You're actually clearing the trail. And that is work. And it requires strength, determination, follow through, and courage. But all of those things you have. And the world has maybe taught you that you don't, but that's not the truth. You have it. And this is the season you learn how to wield that power for real, for good, but for real. All right, Capricorn, your turn. The card of Aquarius season for you is the Page of Swords, or the Home of Action, the Home of Action. And Capricorn, you have worked so much. You have learned so much. You have let go of so much that you thought was really like how to live good, how to live well, how to live, be the best and have the best and experience the best. And you've unlearned a lot of what was incorrect. And I feel like now we're at an impasse where we know that the past is not possible. The way you were doing it is not sustainable, not realistic, not possible at all for you anymore. And you're looking into the future, and maybe this is something you feel all the time, or maybe it's the first time, but maybe you're now thinking, can I do it a different way? Can I do this? Maybe you're afraid. Maybe you don't feel prepared. You feel like you've had a grip on so many things that you prepared for and they were slipping away and you tried to grasp them, but they just changed, right? And so things are different. Now what you thought was secure is not. And now what you thought was a sure thing is not. Now what you thought was never going to happen is at your table, and in good ways and in not so good ways. And the thing is that there's something going on in your brain. There's some desire. There's something that you must say. There's some place that you must go. There's something you are being called to from inside of you, from inside of your mind, that you are maybe afraid to act on. And that's okay. But you are being wildly encouraged throughout Aquarius season to just do it. Sometimes you don't learn what works or doesn't work until you try. Sometimes you'll never know if you're wrong until you try. Sometimes you literally just don't know what you don't know until you know it. And this energy of like waiting to speak, waiting to figure out the like perfect way to do it, waiting to figure out to like learn more, to experience more, to be different, to let something else outside of you like ring the alarm and say, now you're ready to move. Like, that is not helping anymore. It's not going to work. You'll be waiting forever. I almost feel like that's literally the whole reading. But there's just like, you can't wait to figure out the perfect way to wield the sword. You can't wait to figure out the perfect way to say what you need to say, to do what you need to do, to get where you want to go. You just have to start. It's about movement, right? It's about time. It's about letting the circumstances be what they are and moving anyways, right? You may have tried a different path, all different paths, like over and over again, and feeling they're not working. So this one that you hold precious, that you really want, you're not even going to try because your energy is unlucky, or your attempts never work. So you're not going to try the thing that you actually want. No, baby, no. They weren't working because they weren't that one. And you have to go towards the one, the idea, the desire, the truth that you're holding in or holding back or running away from. Like, whatever action it is calling you to do, it's time to make sure, one, that you really want it and that it's what's really calling to you. This is not whim energy. This is not whim energy. This is doing what we're called to. And then doing it. Right? It's making sure you want it and doing it. Making sure it's actually what you're being called to do and then doing it. The Page of Swords is such an interesting card because when we're there, it's all we can think about. And we feel like this idea or this thing is supposed to live in thought. But it isn't. And I get that it's a sword card and that can make you feel like it's not time to act. But that's not the case. The Page of Swords is the one who's like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm doing it. Like, I do not know how to hold this sword correctly, but all I know is that I have to hold it. I have to pick it up. And so I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. Right? And, I sort of wish there was more. I don't want you to feel like you're getting the short end of the stick, but the ultimate message of this is like, it's time to just do it. You'll never feel completely ready. You'll never feel completely sure. You'll never feel like some of us, the blessed few, can wait and feel a full body yes. And that is so beautiful for them, but that's nowhere near where I live and the people that I know live. If you've got trauma in your body, you're not going to feel a full body yes. So at least not right away. It takes time and practice and healing and work. And so if that's not where you are, you don't have to force yourself to wait until all of your parts get on the same page and you feel a full body yes, because you just might not ever feel it, especially when the Page of Swords is on the table. You're not gonna feel ready, but it's time. And releasing yourself from the expectation that you feel fully prepared, get everything in a list that you can check off and feel good and strong and secure about, like, that's going to have you waiting forever and missing your window. It's time to move. When the path becomes clear, go. When you know what you want and you're sure about it and there's an option, try it. This is something you can't learn by waiting. You can't learn by researching. You're going to have to do, you've done as much as you can, and you're going to have to learn on the go. You're going to have to learn by doing. And it's a good way to live. And you're a Capricorn. You can do that. The world, as it's set up, doesn't always feed into that energy of Capricorns that can learn by doing. And sometimes it wants you to sort of give into the tendency to be other ways, like gripping onto things and not letting them change, or thinking that there's one way to do it and that's the best way, and not even examining whether or not it actually is the best way, right? But that's not who you are. That's just sometimes what society can take your traits that are natural and lean them towards. But actually, you can do learning on the go. You can stay grounded and learn how to fly simultaneously. And that's where the work comes in this season. You got to trust yourself that this is just one of those situations where you're going to figure it out as you go. And there isn't anything to be done about that, but to surrender and to do it. And you can. You're powerful. You're strong. You're capable. You're connected to the ground, to the spirits. Like, you can do this. Capricorn has the original instructions for life. They have the ability to build the bridge, the physical bridge that has the spiritual and the physical combining in a blissful, ecstatic way. And that's inside of you, which means sometimes it's not about trusting the hard facts and trusting what you can see and what you can feel. It's about trusting the vibes. Spirit. Sometimes it's no, there is a mystical element to this, and it's just I can't describe it. I can't teach you how to do it. You just have to trust me and say that this is the time to do it. That's you in this moment. Sometimes that's you. And I think that it's going to be a really, really good lesson. And I think that you're going to get somewhere that you never expected to be, because you just let yourself trust in the unknown and trust in the call inside of you and just tried. I think that you'll be plenty surprised. Thank you so much for listening to these horoscopes with me, these taroscopes. How does it sound? Do you feel ready? How do you feel? Is it exciting? Are you just super ready to start a new life? Are you ready to be the best version of yourself? Are you ready to face your challenges? Are you absolutely not ready, but barreling into the future anyways? Most likely, me too. If this reading didn't have the signs, make sure to check out the companion video, the other part, so that you can get the signs that are appropriate for you. Your rising, your sun, your moon, any concentrated energy, listen to those. If you would like a personalized reading so we can look into your energy, your personal energies for Aquarius season, connect to some spirits, connect to some good energy, and get a lay of the land for you for the month ahead, for the season ahead. The links are down below, and you can book a one-on-one with me. I have a lot of different options. Browse through, see what works for you. If you want to hang out and learn more and do tarot studies and astrology studies and things like that, then you can join the Patreon, which, love you. I want to take this moment to say thank you so much to the Rainbow Witches on the Patreon. All my patrons are incredible and make this and all videos possible. So thank you so much. Stick around, watch the other video, and I know I was gone for a while, but I literally had to be. I was dealing with medical stuff, and I just could not make a video, but I'm back, and we're back on track, we're back on schedule, so thanks for sticking around, and I will talk to you soon. Bye! Stay cool, stay queer, stay in it, stay magical. I'll see you around. Mwah.